Yeah, I wanted to make this video to clear up some of the confusion about Egyptians. You know what it means to be an Egyptian, and there is you could say there's no Egyptians around today, or you could say everybody's an Egyptian today, depending on how you view it. But the Egyptian culture, the Egyptian people, what they mean by that is like as we all know, Israel is just a way of saying energy. So when they say Israel, the Israelites were brought down into slavery in Egypt. That was a way of saying the energy came into came into a body, came into a vessel. You know what I mean? That's a way of saying the first man, became conscious of what was around him. Because slavery, it's not really slavery, it's slavery. As in, it's a word that we use to refer to the Slavic race. Like you got these brothers online. Some of these Asian type brothers who are talking about, the Slavic race used to be cavemen living in a cave, eating each other, hitting each other with clubs, barbarian. No race was ever some fucking caveman, first of all right? Nobody started out as God doesn't create God doesn't create trash. He doesn't create imperfect individuals. There was no savage caveman race. They became that when they left their godliness. You know what I mean? So when we were talking about the Slavic people were living in a cave, we meant consciously they were in a cave. They weren't fully aware of of the workings of the metaphysical realm around them. That's what that was. That's what that whole story is about. The how should I put this? When we were brought into slavery in the when the Israelites were brought into slavery in Egypt, that was a way of saying that us being gods, we were put inside of a body that did not have a mental a mind that could a mind that could conceive of the world as God views it. So we were building up. We're building up. That's something we need to get back to, is building up that mind, building up that central consciousness, the brain, not the mind. The brain. Egypt. If somebody was to say where Egypt is, where it isn't, Egypt was the world. You know what I mean? Because if energy came into the body of man, and man just was, you know what I mean? I don't believe there was no evolution. Man just was. Then the world just was with man, and that's what the Big Bang is. People don't understand that Big Bang Theory. They're saying, how long was the Earth around? How long was man around? What can Adam and Eve? Adam was the first man. It's not that Adam was the first man, or that we evolved out of an atom, or that a group of atoms turned into a man, or however the fuck they want to say it. The Big Bang is the fact that it all just was. You know what I mean? There was the world and there was men within it. That's it, all at once. Bam, a snap of a finger. That's what the real Big Bang is. You know what I mean? When people are talking about how the universe started with a Big Bang, that's what it was. And Egypt, Egypt could be viewed as the world as well. If we're talking about the ancient Egyptian empire, we're talking about the entire world. Now, as we created different, races of people, we realized that everybody had to cut out their little part of the world. So, our first, I'm not sure if it was what we would call Iran today or Syria, but I think it was Syria. This is this is our first how would you put it? Our first little piece of land for ourselves. Kind of how the world was divided into different little tribes and everything. This was the piece of land for us. You know what I mean? And Syria is Iran too, by the way. Syria and Iran are separate today. Back then when we ruled over that particular area, it used to all just be one. But Syria, if you were to look up the word Syria, where they get it, Seer, which is not spelled P-Y. Again, I'm going to emphasize, for us, the God race, the P is the letter S, and we need to get back to using our own glyphs, our own languages. We can't keep using their letters, their languages, and expect for us to just be fixed. It's not going to happen. But the P is the S, it makes the S sound. So if you were to look in Egyptian language right now, you could jump on Wikipedia and look at Egyptian language. PR means in the house, you know what I mean, or house of, you know what I mean. And then so that's Seer. The PR is the Seer. Now what about the next part of the word Syria? Yah. We all know Yah is God. You know what I mean? So Syria means in the house of God. And that was basically saying, when you step into this land, Syria, that you're now in the house of God. You're in the house of the original man. You came from us. You cannot be more advanced than us because you are a lesser evolved version than us. You know what I mean? You're part of us. You're just one little part. You ain't the whole us though. You know what I mean? So don't let any human ever tell you that they supersede the God race, because they don't have everything you have. They have part of what you have, and that's it. You know what I mean? If they had everything you had, they would be you. Period. After that, I'm not after Syria, I believe our empire turned into Iran, which back then I think I'm not sure if we called it. I think it was Iram, with an M, and then it's Iran today. Whereas that's a fake Iran. It'll never be Iran until we're back. In our right state of mind, it will still be Iran. But if you look it up, they'll say that basically they'll say that human beings, the first human beings were around 200,000 years ago, roughly. That was the first Homo sapiens. But the thing is, they say that they didn't have civilization. They say there was no civilization until I think 20 or 30,000 years ago, somewhere around there. I think they said 20,000 years ago is what I was looking up. The earliest civilizations were 20,000 years ago. But if you look up Iran, specifically Iran, what our First Nation, where our culture comes from, we had civilization 200,000 years ago. All right, we didn't come into the world 200,000 years ago. We already had civilization, as in they had buildings. They had art, they had language 200,000 years ago, So I just want to make this little quick 5-minute video, just to touch you up on who we are, just a little touch up on where we come from, or one of the places we come from, and I wanted to fix some of the confusion with this ancient Egyptian empire everybody's talking about, because people like to say, people talk about ancient Egypt like it was one little state that ruled over the world. In fact, it was the world. It was the fact that at one point in time, when the original man, the God man, was all over the world, he dominated this world with a global level of consciousness. And that's why everywhere you go today, no matter what language you look at, when you break it down to the glyphs, you'll notice we're represented through those glyphs. It's because the humans got everything they had from us. And they're still stuck on it. They can't figure out a way to make their own thing, and they don't want to. So they stick to using our glyphs to hold us in a state of, like I said, mental slavery. To keep you in a state of mind where you're not realizing your full potential. So you can't create better. You can't become more and reach your full godhood. So again, it's very important. I hate to throw history on people because history is a highly subjective thing. But I try to do my best. I've spent hours reading through history, and I try to do my best to go back and differentiate real from the fantasy, which is a lot harder than some people think. And you want to be very careful when you're listening to some of these people in the conscious community who are talking about this is our history and that's our history, and for example, you'll hear a lot of hate on people saying Europeans, but Europe is actually that's more so your history than a white person's history, you could say, because a lot of those words are based on your glyphs, and a lot of the building there, the structures there, is based on work you do. Like I said, the white people, they just kind of came. They're a lot newer in this current incarnation of the world than most people think. And they're often a species of people that we overcredit. We think they've done all these crazy. We view them as this big powerful monster in the world when that's not necessarily so. And you really gotta read in between the lines to realize how great an effect you have on this world, and just how much the whole human race is working together in a collective to keep you in the closet about who you really are. Because this is a lot bigger than they're trying to say. And a lot of the newer brothers out there, who are spitting conscious game, you're gonna get a lot of agents trying to discredit them all the time, because they're starting to they're starting to reveal just how deep the rabbit hole goes. So I'm gonna come on later with another video. I'm gonna try to start. That was just the first little part of my history videos. But I'm gonna try to make I'm gonna try to divide my videos up, have them in subcategories, and this will be the first part of my history section. Starting with Egypt, Syria, and Iran. That's where I'm gonna kick this story off for now. That's the most I can know. Of course, if any man's in his right state of godhood, he'll know who he was before then. But right here on earth, that's what I'm gonna kick it off with. So I'll come back at you later with some more info.